Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm bringing you guys a team builder for week 6 of the UBC, season number 5. This week we are going up against ProfChipboard, coach of the Bristol Bulu. Now, the last time we played was in season 4, and it was week 3, I want to say. It might have been week 4, but I'm pretty sure it was week 3. And it was a 5-0 loss, if I'm not mistaken. I think I managed to net 1 kill off of him. And then he brought in a Scolipede and proceeded to get 6 kills versus me. It might have been SD. I don't even think it was SD. He might have just been able to destroy me with the coverage that he had. So obviously that went poorly. And I'm hoping that I can have a better showing this time around. But in order to do that, we are going to have to defeat his team of Mega Charizard X, Tapu Fini, Fortress, Diggersby, Gourgeist, Thundurus, Terrakion, Snorlax, Rotom, and Musharna. So he has a lot of really scary threats. The trio of Zard, Diggersby, and Terrakion is really hard for me to deal with because I don't have any Pokemon that can switch into any of their dual coverages, dual stabs. So that's going to be a problem, especially if they start setting up speed boosts. Like, they can all set up in different ways. They all have ways to boost attack. They all have ways to boost speed. So that's going to be an issue. I'm quite scared about that. Other things that are scary, potentially Calm Mind Musharna or Calm Mind Tapu Fini. Fini, I guess I'm a little less worried about. I've got a few decent checks to that. Musharna, can potentially be scary because I don't have Weavile this week, but maybe he'll elect not to bring it because of that. That's kind of all that I'm hoping for. It's unfortunate that 2 weeks in a row I've elected not to bring Weavile, just between Fini, Rotom, Fortress, and Zard. Like, they're all pretty decent switch-ins to Weavile. So he could bring like a Keviaberry, Tapu Fini to deal with Weavile. He could also bring a no-item Rotom, which is not a bad check at all. I've brought no-item water types in the past to deal with Weavile. I actually saw Jolt from Token Minorities bring Z Crystal Rotom, but it was a Z Crystal that it couldn't use. He brought like a Raichunium Z, whatever Raichu's Surge Surfer a Z move is, whatever that Z Crystal is. He brought that so that way he couldn't be knocked off, but it showed that he had an item, which is a really nice move, really nice bring. Those are both good checks. I don't know if he'll bring one or both. We'll have to see based on team matchup if he's brought both Rotom and Fini. He might choose to, like, he might have to bring Rotom for Lando, so he might not necessarily have that. He might be like a leftovers or something. Well, we'll have to see. It's going to be a tough matchup for sure. But I've got some other Mons on my team that I think are pretty threatening versus him. Starting off first with Choice Spec Sylveon. Choice Spec Sylveon has only one switch in on his team, being Fortress. So all we need to do is catch that with an HP Fire, and then we're good to go. So definitely a nice Mon to bring in this matchup. Wish is there just in case I need it. It's sort of just a filler move because I don't need anything else. Because Hyper Voice smacks everything else extremely hard. Like, there's not a move I can pack that's going to do more damage. Like Shadow Ball for Gourgeist or something, for example, does less than Hyper Voice. There's nothing that Sylveon gets that can hit Zard harder than Hyper Voice, and so on and so forth. And the Baton Pass is there just for momentum if I am anticipating the Fortress coming in. Things like that. We put enough speed on this thing to outpace a Rotom by 1 point. It also outspeeds Fini by 3 points. I think actually I like to put a little extra on these, and anyone who's like an opponent of mine and is watching my team building videos, like, you'll notice that I like to do this, just put a little bit of extra speed. I need to start mixing it up so that way you don't know precisely how much speed I'm adding. But enough speed for Fini and Rotom that don't have any speed investment. Rest into special attack with Modest Nature and just a leftover that's in bulk. So I think Fast Specs is really awesome versus his team. He does have a couple of threats that are really fast, like the Thundy, the Zard. Diggersby is faster than this. But like pretty much anything else, like Snorlax, Musharna, a lot of his slow mons just get obliterated by Sylveon, which is nice. Next, I do have a Scarf Victini. I was really, really close to bringing Specs, but I think like a Nasty Plot Thundurus or a Swords Dance Terrakion is just too scary not to bring a Scarf user. Plus, I can also hit up a Zard with like 2 Psyshocks and 2 KO it. If it's at +1, we should speed tie, or if he's like attacking an Animate Nature, we can live. I wonder how much a +1 Dragon Claw does. But I have other Zard checks on the team, so that's probably okay. But I just want to check real quick, and I'll bring it over on the screen. We take 1, just we don't take it well. We have, yeah, let's bring this over to the screen so you guys can see. So yeah, if it's +1 Jolly Zard, it does 88% with Dragon Claw, so we can technically live 1. And then if we are Psyshock, we're not Life Orb, so we do like 40%, so it's not great. So maybe that's not the answer, I guess, is kind of what the gist of this whole exercise would be. But yeah, this threatens his whole team. Really, the combination of Blue Flare and Psyshock deals with his entire team, because his only psychic resists are Musharna and Fortress. And so Fortress definitely doesn't want to take a Blue Flare, and Musharna doesn't particularly want to take one. And then Energy Ball I just put on as coverage for Finny. If it's already setting up Calm Minds, we'll just go for Psyshock versus it. But we might not get to that point. So yeah, that's the idea behind this set. It's just sort of a safety net for any of his setup mons, assuming they're not setting up speed. Again, if they're setting up speed, then I'm kind of boned. Next, we have a Colbur Berry, Decidueye, Roost, Leaf Blade, Spirit Shackle, U-Turn. This is actually really nice versus his team because Leaf Blade plus Spirit Shackle is really potent versus his entire team. Because his only resist to Spirit Shackle are Diggersby and Snorlax, and then Leaf Blade can hit them both relatively hard. Although I don't outspeed Diggersby. The reason we're Colbur Berry is because I want to be able to take a knockoff from a Diggersby, or potentially a Dark Pulse, or a Never End a Nightmare. Is that the Dark Z move, or is that the Ghost Z move? I can't remember. It's one or the other. You guys obviously know what it is. Be able to take one of those and be able to retaliate with an attack. The investment that we have here does allow us to 2-hit KO Thundurus with Spirit Shackle, if we get down to that. And we have enough Spadef to live 2 HP Ices from a non-Life Orb Thundy, which Thundy is his Z-move user, so there's a decent chance that he brings it with Z-move rather than Life Orb. If he is Life Orb, then it's like a 80 or 75% chance that we live 2, but it's tough. It's a really tough call. And the U-turn's just there for momentum, so we've got a nice baton pass U-turn core between these 3 mons. That'll be really nice, and it's particularly nice with Victini and Sylveon, because like Sylveon is going to lure in the Fortress, and then I can just baton pass right into Victini and sort of play around his team that way. Like if I prevent him from getting too much momentum, like I should be able to deal with his offensive threats. That's kind of what I'm thinking in this game, and Decidueye does allow me to do that. Having Decidueye on the team is also really critical. Not to like harp too long on this, but Leaf Blade plus Spirit Shackle is really nice for dealing with his Calm Mind sweepers. So Musharna takes 45% minimum from Spirit Shackle if it's fully Fizdef, and then Leaf Blade pretty much obliterates Tapu Fini. So if that thing's not boosted too much, we can hit it up with a couple Leaf Blades. If we need to roost it between, we can do that, and that'd be nice. But yeah, that's the other reason I brought Decidueye, is for the Calm Mind sweepers. So Thundy, Diggersby, Calm Mind sweepers. That's the reason this is here this week. Next we have a Flying EMZ Lando with Stealth Rock, Gravity, Earthquake, and Fly. So with Gravity up, we are able to destroy probably his best check to this thing, being the Rotom Wash. If he does have the Gourgeist, I'll have to be careful to make sure the thing's not Cobra Berry, because it probably takes a plus or a fly or a supersonic sky strike more accurately. I'll have to play around that and do some calcs. There's also a chance that he's Colbur, because that can take the knockoff from Landorus. It can take a knockoff or a pursuit from Weavile. So we'll have to see. It's going to be tough to call exactly. But otherwise, yeah, this just applies a lot of pressure to his team. Fly is a nice nuke for Pokemon like Tapu Fini. It does like 60% to Musharna. And then really, like, just having Intimidate on this thing is great, because I'm going to need to shuffle Intimidates between Quillfish and Landorus on a lot of his physical mons, which is definitely scary. And that does sort of lead me into my Quillfish. Taunt Spikes, Waterfall, Poison Jab. With this set, I feel like I should run Pain Split instead of Spikes, because that'll combo like really nicely with Rocky Helmet. You know, I'll have some form of recovery, but I do have Wish, so I don't know. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do. But Spikes is just nice for wearing down his team, because his only ground immunities are Rotom and Thundy. And those aren't even immunities under Gravity, which is kind of cheeky. But yeah, this is a fair switch-in for Zard and Terrakion. It's not a good switch-in. Again, it's probably fair. This thing can't really touch Zard, but Waterfall is going to do a decent chunk to Terrakion, which is good. So, yeah, I just want to use these guys to pivot back and forth, the Lando and the Quillfish, to prevent his physical attackers from doing too much work versus me. We do have enough speed on here for Digger's Bee. I could put a little bit of extra speed to outspeed Finny, but I don't want to do that, because like I'm already kind of less invested in defense than I'd like. And Taunt is there to prevent things like Fortress from setting up hazards, is there to prevent Finny from setting up. I can taunt it and then click P-Jab versus it. P-Jab should kill it relatively easily, and Finny, if it's Calm Mind, isn't going to be packing coverage to hit Quillfish super hard. But like I said, I'm kind of expecting, if he brings it, for it to be like a Cobra Berry set, or not Cobra Berry, a Kebia Berry, to deal with the Weavile. But yeah, Taunt's just nice for a lot of his mons. It prevents Snorlax from setting up, things like that. Snorlax is kind of an issue for this team. But if he can't really bring Curse-Lax, because I do have Decidueye. So that's a thing. And then last but not least, I do have a kind of mixed defensive, mixed offensive Blastoise. Spin, Surf, Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse. Spin, obviously, because I don't want my Victini and other mons to take too much damage. Surf is actually important this week, because a Scald with this investment would not Oko a Terrakion, but a Surf does. And I want to have as much defense investment as possible, so I could potentially take Dragon Claws from Zard and then retaliate with Dragon Pulse. Dragon Pulse does Oko an uninvested Zard with this spread. And then Dark Pulse is there to hit Gourgeist if it tries to spin block me. I really wanted either Roar or Status in this last slot, but I just couldn't fit it, I don't think. I really need all three of these moves in order to beat his team. And I'm a little bit scared about going into this squad without going into this matchup with this squad without any sort of status. But the only thing that I would really want a status is like Musharna. Maybe getting up like a T-Wave or something with my Bloat onto the Zard would be nice, but I feel like I need both stabs to deal with Finny and Terrakion. I really like Taunt, and then Spikes is really nice too. And Spikes is nice with Decidueye, because I can spin block his Fortress with relative ease. There's really nothing that he can do. And then if he is not Volt Switch, I can Roost plus Spirit Shackle and take him out, which is great. And then my hazards are going to be up to stay. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't mocked with this team at all. I haven't had time this week. We're battling a little earlier than what I normally do. Usually I battle on the weekends, but we're battling a few days before in the middle of the week because he's going on vacation, which is, totally cool. I'm glad that we're able to fit the match into our schedule. But it's definitely going to be a tough match. I don't feel super great about the matchup, but we're going to do the best we can. And with that, I will thank you guys for watching and encourage you guys to check out the battle tomorrow, going up around 5 p.m. EST, as always. And if you did like this video, make sure you check back to my channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. Until the next time, I will see you guys later.